Oh, it's
Oh,
live.
all right.
I
All
see the
right.
countdown. Fantastic. So we are live and we're coming at you from all areas of the world, but mainly North America. And we were discussing where we want to be in about a year. So let's put that out into the world because, you have those fantastic people who are like, oh, girl, I just wrote about it and it happened. So great for you. So we're going to do that. Let's try to do that. Like maybe
Okay.
4 minds are stronger than one, right? I can't even get good lighting, but it's good. I'll be the voice from beyond. So I am Joanne Tung coming
Turn
at
your
you
back
from
to the
Antigua.
window. I mean, turn your
Huh?
front to the window. Turn
There's
around.
like 5 windows in here, but hey,
There
now
you
I'm at
go.
a wall
Perfect.
at work, but I
That's
hate
it.
that
That's
background.
it.
I hate
I
that
can see you.
background.
No, no, no. The other
Hold
way.
on, let
Go
me
back to
figure
where
it
you.
out. Hold on. Let me figure it out. Okay. So for now, like, we are introducing the four of us. It's Joyanne, Dee, Amanda, and Ursula. So, who would like to go first? Basically, where would you, Carmen Sandiego, would like to be in about a year? And what are you doing? Because I'm seeing people living their best life where they're like, oh, sis, I have 10 streams of income. I'm like, oh, fantastic. So, should we do Ursula? Where are you in a year from now?
That's a good question. Where I would like to be and where, yeah, let's go with what I like to be, just like, and not where I think I will be. Um, I truly would like to be living somewhere else other than the U.S. I've always wanted to. Unfortunately, I have allowed other things and family in life to stop that. Uh, as a woman that is single and works from home and online, I should be able to do that, go wherever. The reality of it is that my parents are getting older. I am kind of more responsible for that, and then other things that are taking place. But my goal would be, I don't know exactly where, at this time, because before the two choices I always had, be, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I decided I was going to live somewhere other than the U.S., I was ready to move, was Costa Rica and Panama were my two that I'd visited both. I'd visited several places, but those are the two that I felt, I guess, the most comfortable in. I felt excited about and financially thought I could actually afford at the time. Um, but I now would have to actually do research again on where is the most affordable place to be. And so, but I'll just come visit all of you guys and y'all can move out to different places I visit you and then make that decision. That's it.
I'm up for it
That's what I'm
anytime.
doing in a year. I'm visiting each one of you for 2 weeks and then I'll
Can
make
I,
my
can I
decision.
suggest we go to Curacao? I'm obsessed now.
Curacao? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. See, that's
Mm.
another one to add to the list of visiting places to visit. So maybe that's what I'll do in a
But
year
I
is
did want to, because,
start
like,
visiting all these places, visiting until I find some place to go. Yeah. Sell my house. Yeah. And at this time of the market, it's already gone up almost two and a half of what the price of what it was when I bought it. So, you know,
hey,
now of
it
course
works in
you
your
can't
favor.
afford to
I
buy
love it.
anything and live. Now that the cost of everything has gone up. You sell, you can't afford to buy something else.
Right.
You
Mm.
know.
Right.
Yeah. But okay, so I just had like a little cute little follow-up question. So for Panama and Costa Rica, was that because you had visited those places or because
Yes.
like you had just done extensive research? Okay. What's the
No,
vibes?
it's a
Tell us
visit.
the vibes.
I was fortunate enough that I had a job where I was traveling a lot, and I got to go to a lot of places, even in South America, overseas, in Europe, and things. So I've had that opportunity, and those were two places that with work that I went. Even that I was like I said, I felt really comfortable, felt excited about it. I enjoyed my time here and enjoyed the people that I met. So yeah, so that's how I came up with those two.
Mm.
Mm.
Giants. I guess she
Kind of
went from her
stuck.
two bars to the one bar. There's
Oh
no bar.
Lord, have
Yeah.
mercy. I'm gonna need her to get the other
my goodness.
$3 back.
Oh, I don't even want to I don't want to be the technical person, because I'm not that person. I'm gonna see. I'll text her and see if she can connect to her router directly. I can't direct her on how to do that. I'll have to Google it, but I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
She can just
we
click
blocked
back on the
Zoom.
link and she should be able to get right back in.
Yeah.
The link is good no matter what. It's good for this stream,
Hopefully.
so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
So
I
I guess
just
I want to
text her
go to
quickly.
the. So, Dee, do you want to answer? You want to be the next up to answer that question?
Gotta love technology.
Yeah, sure. I'm still very interested in being in Mexico for in the upcoming year or year and a half or so. We are definitely looking forward to traveling, but now, since it's not just me, there are other factors that we have to take into consideration. So my kids are adults, and then he has younger kids. So
Oh, yeah.
it's a little bit harder to just pick up and go, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
there you go. But it doesn't it doesn't stop us from traveling and finding out where we feel comfortable, and then maybe even picking another country if that's the case. But the thing is, one thing that I've learned, I think Joyanne and I both learned it, is making sure that you have some stability in your home country, so that if you ever have to come back, that you've maintained whatever you need, whether it be your citizenship, keeping your taxes in order, things like that. So there are a lot of classes that teach you how to do it, but the only way to really know step by step what you're doing and if you're doing it properly is to do it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to make sure because right now, this is the first year that I hired an accountant to make sure that I'm filing my taxes properly. And I'm putting things in place even better to make sure that even if I say, I'm not going to go down there and work, we still need, I'm not, 65 or 70 or whatever. I still need to be putting money away so that I have some stream of income consistently, because you never know what could happen. And even so, I still want to be able to file my taxes. So that's pretty important to the American government, aside from everything else. So I want to keep that consistent. But I'm still definitely stuck on Mexico, but I want to visit so many other places. And who knows, maybe I'll get a ride for someplace else. But the thing about Mexico, what it's so attractive is it's right there in America, basically. It's like a hop, skip, and a jump away. It ain't Canada because it's cold.
Yeah.
I'm all good with that. Me and Nicole and I, we gave up on each other a while ago. So I'll see what other options are out there and go from there.
Okay.
Now you're still up north, yeah, though, right? Up there.
Yeah, I'm still in Connecticut, still here.
She's still here.
Still here. But you know what? It's not so bad. So I moved from a full house, it was a smaller house, but it was a home, to a townhouse. And I was saying to my boyfriend the other day, or I was like, if I had known that a townhouse is like this, I would have purchased a townhouse. But having a Jamaican parent, she's like, that's not a house. It's not, and I'm just like, all right, like that's not a real house, Jamaicans have, West Indians have their way of doing things, and I'm just like, fine, it's not a house, but so I had a standalone house, and I was alone in it, and it served its purpose. But had I been in a townhouse, I would still be living there. I like having neighbors that are right there. My packages come, if I'm not home, they take it in. My neighbor across the way is like, just give me your telephone number if you ever need anything. Oh, we're having wine every Tuesday. Come over. Like
Yeah,
I get that whole neighborhood vibe feel. I get to see
that's
kids.
cool.
No, baby, you just in the right neighborhood. I
Yeah,
don't know
you
if
weren't in the right
are like
neighborhood.
that.
'Cause-
No,
Yeah.
I had great neighbors. Like he would
Yeah.
come over, he would cut the grass. His wife was a sweetheart. Like I actually missed them, but it was just like it was really far apart. Like we
Yeah.
weren't far apart, but it wasn't like, how it is here. This is a townhome where your neighbor is like basically
Sharing
in
the
the
wall,
room.
right?
You can
Yeah.
hear them walking to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But they're not on top of me, so it's not aggravating. But
Yeah.
it just gives me like a real neighborhood vibe feel. I like it much better.
Yeah.
It suits me.
That's great. I love that. Okay. So your locations are in Mexico.
I'm looking to Mexico City, yes.
Okay. And then Ursula's was Panama and Costa Rica. All right, Amanda, my love, where would you like to be in 1 year's time? Do you guys know that song? Oh, it's 5 years' time. Sorry. But where will you be in 1 year's
I
time?
don't. Well,
You don't. I'm sorry.
Geez, I'm just like, honestly, right now. No, it's not even like planning a year in advance. It's like literally, like, just like Dee was saying, it's like you have to do it. So I'm just in the process of doing it right now. So I just like, it's not even like, it's like I'm just being fueled by like utter confidence and like, well, I have to do this, so let's do it. So I mean, in a year from now, I would want to be running my own business, having a home, having my kids being well adjusted. Well, I mean, they're well adjusted. I mean, I just made it sound like they're not well adjusted, but adjusted to the move.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so it's just stuff like that. And then hopefully, like, I'm just hoping that, I shouldn't say hoping, I'm planning I will be. Like I just feel like I will have to have multiple streams of income, not so I'm like some kind of like, oh, I'm a money, whatever, like I'm this person. It's just in order to live the way that I want to. And
this is not our fault. This is capitalism.
I understand totally. I mean, like, don't even get me started. I mean, it was my birthday and my cousin called, and I don't know how I got on capitalism. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And he's like, wow. He's just like, wow, you're just, wow. Like, I wasn't like that, like, I was making sense. I wasn't raving, but yeah. Yeah, so it's very, like, I have to, like, I've been, like, I teaching myself how to sew right now because
Nice.
it just, yeah, and I'm teaching myself how to play the guitar. So it's one of those things where I'm like, what did I actually want to do before? Like, because this whole past 3 years, or even the past 5 years, or the past my adult life, I'm just gotten to the point where I'm just like, it's just like, what has being realistic gotten me in any way, shape, or form? So why don't I just do the craziest shit I can think of? I'm like, oh, I'm going to be playing the guitar. I'm like, oh, I can completely figure out how to play reggae. I can hear the chords. I understand this. I play piano chords. I could do that. So why not? I love fashion. It's not like when I was a kid where it's like, okay, well, you have to know somebody or have lessons or whatever. So I'm like, oh, let me draft some clothes. Oh, I could make something Destra and I are buddies. I can do this. Like, it's just pure delusion. I'm like, oh, I could definitely make that. Bitch, I just got a sewing, like I dusted out an old sewing machine and I'm trying my best. Okay. Like, what do you want from me? Oh, I could completely run a business. I've never done this before, but yeah, I've got to do it. And it's just, there's so many. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, well, you know what? Like it's just, life, damn it. Yes.
I think
so I'm just kind of screaming at life.
That everyone that's done that, they had to do it for the first time at some time.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
Just start, yeah.
Exactly.
You say you're just doing it, just do it, yeah.
Right.
Everybody had to start, do it once.
That's all I can
I
do.
made wigs
That's all I can do.
Yeah.
Right.
I had no
And I
idea how to
mean,
do that.
I find that like I was trying to take my sewing lessons last year. I found that I'll be honest with you, I think that's what it always is. It's starting. So, I mean, as Ursula's saying, like we all have
Mhm.
to do something for the first time at some point. For me, to be honest, the most daunting part
Yeah.
of the sewing lesson was finding them. And then once I'm in the class in front of a
Yeah.
sewing machine, was threading the sewing machine because that was actually really quite complicated. It's not just, oh, you have the thread here.
Yeah,
and
it
then
is.
it's not that. You have to have two threads
Yeah,
and they both go through the machine. I'm like, wait, I don't just push a pedal? What?
and it
So
depends on your
maybe,
machine.
that part,
Mm-hmm.
and then you
So
can get into
that
all the
took a while, but I did it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
thankfully, the YouTubes now.
So
I'm going to say something really controversial and ask
Yeah.
you guys if you know anything about this. Has anyone seen Inventing Anna or anyone familiar with the Netflix series or the story of Anna Delvey, real name Anna Sorokin or
I'm,
Sorokin?
Yeah,
I'm
I saw
slightly familiar. Like she was conning people. I know that.
It sounds familiar.
Okay.
So
yeah,
because she's conning.
essentially,
Yeah.
minus the jail and stealing $60,000, etc., from your friends,
Uh-huh.
I say we
Yeah.
have the kind of confidence that someone like Anna has, where she's still legit.
Yeah.
She literally,
Yeah.
the employees knew. They were like, but she doesn't have this and this and this. And they're like, well, are you going to tell her no? And everybody's like, I don't want to be the one just in case she has the things that she was claiming to have. Nobody wanted to be in trouble. So
Right.
literally,
Yeah.
they let this 24-year-old
Yeah.
girl, her business associates who were actually legitimate, walk onto a private jet.
Nice.
Now, I don't want
Yeah.
any of y'all to try that because there's a big difference between us and Anna.
There you go. There you go.
There is
Yeah.
a tiny difference.
A huge.
A tiny
Wow.
difference. It's just
So
about
you can
this
walk on that
small.
jet.
It's not
But
even
this
much.
goes into what I was trying to explain to some friends, well, some family of mine, where I was like, there is pretty privilege. There is so many of these things in our world that really do dictate. Because like people always revert to, Joyanne, just be positive. And I'm just like, I'm positive.
Yeah, there's positivity and there's honesty.
Exactly.
And there's realism.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the reality of it is we could try if we want to. We can try if we want to.
There are more, what's the words, checks, levers, and balances in place for
someone that looks like us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yes.
Right? So I think definitely dream as big as someone as like Anna Sororkina Delvey, but also just remember that there are things that we're going to need support in. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
I totally know that feeling of wanting to dream big, but then just being like, well, girl, so I think that's where that comes in.
The thing is, like, where do we get our impression of being realistic? You know, where do we got our impression of being realistic? I mean, some of the feedback I've gotten and I've thought about it, I'm like, where did you even, like, show me your work? You know, like, I could understand wanting to con people out of a jet and doing craziness, but I'm like, you know what? Just like, I don't care. Like, you know, if I'm going to a place where the majority of people look like me, who am I not to think, okay, well, I'm going to come in and say, okay, well, I've got my little clothes or whatever, and I'm going to sell it to you. If you don't want it, I'll sell it to the tourists. If they don't want it, then whatever, I'll figure something else because I have to, you know? So I can't let my notions, like, because it's highly hypocritical if we're going to say, okay, well, you know, like, I don't want to be judged and I don't want people to assume things about me. And then we're basing stuff off of like our impression of people from the Caribbean or whatever based off of our parents, you know? I understand people aren't the same wherever you go, but
yes,
we're fortunate enough that we have a lot more people than before that look like us in higher places. So it's actually not out of our reach as it used to be. I want to even say maybe even 10, 15 years ago. Now there are a lot of people that look like us that literally have the money, like, oh, that's what you need here. No big deal. Because there are a lot more people in tech. There are a lot more people in the fashion industry. A lot of people, honestly, that are rappers that bring that have these talents because they grew up with them and they bring them along. So you have these people who have never left that block mentality alone and know and remember where they came from. So they will see you and they'll say, oh, you know what? I like your designs, and they literally have nothing to do with their money.
Yeah.
So it is actually a bit more in our grasp than it used to be. And the masses would have you think that is not necessarily the case, but it is tangible. It is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
So I still don't think that I could hijack a plane.
No.
I would want to.
Exactly.
We're
not trying for that.
Yeah, but you never know. I do have the gift of gab. I may actually look into it.
Exactly. It's like, who knows?
That's the loopholes. And what was interesting, I think there's something to take away from the whole thing where when she was upset, I was actually kind of proud of her because her thing was, the reason why I didn't succeed is because I'm not a man. And I was like, you know what? The sad, scary thing is people would encourage your ruthlessness and your single-minded laser focus on your goal if you are a male. If you are predominantly a white male, people are like, look at Bill Gates, look at da-da-da. For example, now it's common knowledge that Steve Jobs was kind of a not a nice person, but my God, he created Apple.
Kind of. His own daughter was like, he didn't like me. He was a horrible parent. Like, that's the thing, is they skip over all this stuff. Like, have you even heard about Hugh Hefner? No, seriously. Like, have you heard the stuff he was up to? He was literally raping dogs. He was out here raping dogs. And you can still get his stuff. Like, kids are wearing Playboy stuff. Like, I'm not saying, I'll throw it in allegedly, but that information is coming out. He was raping dogs, drugging women, whatever. You don't know how crazy these people are.
How do we get I'm good.
Like, just saying. So I can have a little bit of confidence, like, want things in life. I can go after them. Like, oh well, if you have a problem with it, it is what it is.
See my dog in that manner, but okay.
Well, I mean, he had the confidence. Would you be even able to show your face to people after that? I wouldn't. But he was going out and being, oh
yeah, you fucking asshole, leave me alone. Like, you violated my ass and I'm bleeding.
Right?
Let me really? What the fuck?
Did you apologize? Did he apologize? It's a lot.
Did he make the dog breakfast?
Okay, this conversation went really wrong, really fast.
It is what it is. Like, they'll say all these people are so great, they're so wonderful. I'm not out doing that. Why do I need to feel ashamed for anything?
True.
Like, that's the thing. Like, why do we have to feel ashamed for anything?
That goes back to thinking realistically.
Elon Musk has 16 different kids. Exactly. Elon Musk has 16 different kids with 28 different women. And he has no shame.
And back to the subject.
So whatever.
You have been raised to forgive a lot around. If you've got money, you've been raised or conditioned to forgive a lot or not see a lot when you have money, when people have money.
It's honestly, in all honesty, it's a secret society.
Whatever your color is. Yeah, that's a condition and it's wrong. It truly is. Wrong.
Yeah, it's a secret society. And anybody who knows anything about people who are rich and who've made it to that point, like you didn't get like a snuff film from a poor person. You get what I'm saying? So let's be honest in understanding that that's definitely a secret society that in reality, a lot of us do not want to be a part of that club. We're comfortable with saying, you know what, we make this amount of money, which is sustainable. I can afford my rent, or I can afford my mortgage. I can afford vacations. I can buy whatever the hell I want to. I don't need to get into the air over there, because that's not necessarily for me. And a lot of people, when they get to that point, they notice that the thinking is very, very different as well. So it's not something that you necessarily want to be a part of. I mean, who doesn't want to go into a store and not look at a price tag? That's one part of it, but that's the smallest part of it. And a lot of them, even now, I think because it's even more televised, they go, you see them on television, and a lot of them are a little crazy. Yeah. And not our crazy, because we are conditioned crazy. That's normal. But their crazy is a little further out of our understanding. So no, I mean, like artistic people who are extremely artistic, people who are extremely musically inclined, it's usually you get a huge amount of one thing, but then something else suffers. That's a real thing. Or something else makes up for it. So somebody who's unable to see, but they hear really well. So you have to think about it in terms of, hey, this person is rich because they are so musically inclined. Well, what is it that they're missing? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, and then honestly, at this point of our life, yeah, maybe we could get lucky and, we could be the next superstar. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. We may get to another level of comfortability probably, but I don't think that we're going to get quite there yet. Saying all that to say, so, moving to another country is definitely within our realm, in our scope. Even starting a new career, starting a new project is within our realm, within our scope as well. So, just enlightening the next person, maybe even listening to the future generation and maybe being able to say, hey, you know what, I've been through that and this is what I did and this is how I handled it. And kind of learning from that and going from that and moving forward with all of that.
Excellent. So I was also just trying to see if I could find this really great resource that Stephanie Perry had shared with her viewers, where it is like a kind of like a search engine to try to like filter locations. And so then if you already know that Mexico City, Panama, and Costa Rica are on your list, then you could also like cross-reference and see what parts of the world are more friendly, what parts of the world can you survive on under $1,000. I'm trying to see if I can find it. I've sent it to people like
I remember that. Yeah.
Do you remember what the name of it was?
No, I don't remember it. I remember her talking about that. Yeah.
Well, do Stephanie Perry and do Adalia Borishade. She also has that Adalia Borishade. I'll send you the link. And then also do Libria Jones, who is on Instagram.
Yes.
She she will find you whatever salary you're looking for, whatever country you're looking for, to be able to, if you want to just get up, sell your house and say, hey, I still have to work though, you'll be able to do it.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. So we are not only just manifesting where we would like to be in a year, but also the steps to achieve it. Because I don't know whether I want to bop around or et cetera, et cetera. I think it might be I end up wanting to bop around because, I mean, I think initially what I had hoped for coming to Antigua was that it would just be a lot more positive than what it's been. And so I just want to see it. the realities of what it is have just set in for me. And I'm just like, okay, next, before I get to where I was, which was like in 2018 and 2019 in Vancouver, and literally physically, harming myself from being unhappy with my situation. So I can see I'm starting to get there, because I'm starting to be that person who's like, get out of bed. How? Like, I'm just like, it's so hard. I can't do it. So I'm noticing in myself where I'm like, okay, I got to action something, because I'm starting to exhibit some of the same symptoms I did.
Yeah, you gotta get out of that before you become a miserable Becky. Can't do it. Honestly. No, I was at work the other day, and I was talking to someone, and I'm like, why are you so miserable? Why are you like this? Like, stop. Why
you can't help it. Yeah. We're empaths. It's hard.
I had to give up that empathy bullshit because it wasn't working for me. And you're taking on somebody else's crap and you're losing you. Then you go around somebody who's like positive. Like, even when I was going through my crap, I tried really hard not to let that be the person that I projected to the world. I would do my YouTube videos. I would, do like my little stupid diaries or whatever. But you gotta try to stay as far away from that person, as possible. You got to stay away from that person that you don't want to become as possible. Really identify with it, and and just try to make as much amends as possible, because it'll bring you down, and then you'll end up being stuck in that mode.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, I think what I have to do, it's very much like that radical loving your child self, like, that child who needed more. And then also I have to admit that I have to love the miserable Joyanne as well too, because she is like kind of like my alarm system, where she's like, something's
not where you're supposed to be. Right.
Exactly. You got to fix something.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not alone. I mean, I'm sure I still have my miserable moments. I'm sure Amanda has her miserable moments. Ursula has her miserable moments. We all are gonna have our miserable moments, but get up and move.
Yes.
Get up and move. Get up and move. Get up, and if you can't physically move, and it's not you, I mean, a generalization. If you can't physically move from your location, move from that job, move from those people, move from that area to get back to you. Change your friends, change your circle, change all of those things. Like, like, I find that a lot of people will stay in a particular circle, and I'm like, no, when you're there, that's your comfort zone, but your comfort zone is bringing you down. Go talk to somebody who you know absolutely nothing about, so you can be enlightened. And sometimes that person that you know absolutely nothing about, they have more in common with you than the person that looks like you. But you won't give them a chance. You won't give them the opportunity. You're so comfortable in that downtrodden space. Like, one of my mottos is, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Get out of that space. It's not a good space for you. When I was living in Florida, and I was depressed to the point that they kept changing my medication.
Right.
I started going to the synagogue. In the synagogue, I was converting, and they're what saved me. They are the only people that saved me. I went to a Baptist church. Everybody looked like me. I felt like an outcast.
Yep.
I went to the synagogue. Nobody looked like me. They welcomed me with open arms. They were welcome. Right. I'm there for Hanukkah. I'm there celebrating with them. I'm going to luncheons with them. And if I'm not there, they're calling me up. D, how are you? D, what do you need? You know what I'm saying? So they saved me, and they don't even know it.
Yeah. What is the saying? Skin folk aren't always kin folk.
That's very true.
Yeah. So there is that as well too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think again, so that is like a really good way of thinking about how can we, do the little steps to also keep our mind right so that we can be open
Yeah.
to the positive changes. So I know for all of us, and Amanda and Ursula can come through if they'd like to share, but how else are we, doing our best to because I mean, life is throwing some of these punches right now. She's got us with the left. I feel like I'm up against the ropes a little bit. So how are we all best to be mindful and I mean, also gentle with ourselves? Because if you do need to have that moment of like, I am down for a count, not for the count, but a count. How do you then get back up after that? Are we feeling that we are able to do so, or is it kind of like I need a little bit of a hibernation period?
Yeah.
Well, for myself, I mean, I'm going through quite a bit right now. But the thing is, it's like I was talking to Dee and Ursula before. It's like my stress is actually surprisingly low, just because like. But the stuff I was saying before, it's not because I want to emulate these people, but I'm like, you have to have kind of the attitude, like, like if life is going to be this unreasonable, why can't I be unreasonable? Like, okay, well, I could go and learn coding and do all that stuff. No guarantee it's going to work out. So I may as well do what I want to do. Like, I just get to, like, I'm like, you know what? I can't do a lot of things. And that depresses me. Like, it's not my mental state, it's my physical state. But you're not detached from the two. So it's like, okay, if you're physically feeling bad, you're not going to feel mentally well, vice versa. So sometimes I'm like, you know what? I just need to sleep for a few hours because I'm physically not well, or mentally I just need to sleep. But other than that, it's like, what? Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I can't go and do a lot of exercises, but the ones I'm going to do, I'm going to do the fuck out of them. Like, I'm unreasonable with myself in that way. Like, I'm like, I'm going to go in, like, I have a little place I can work. I'm going to go in there. It's had a heat wave. I've been outside sewing for hours out there because that's what I can do. I'm not being dangerous, but, it's like, it's what I can do. And it just gives me satisfaction. I'm like, I'll play guitar. I'm like, my fingers hurt. Yeah, but I'm used to pain. And I'd rather have finger pain than have back pain.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I suck today. I'll suck tomorrow. Maybe I'll suck next week, but I'll stop sucking at some point.
Yeah. Right. But that's the thing, right? Like,
So,
a lot of times when we hear of like the great successes, they were given a safe space to suck for years.
Right. Until they finally made
it.
it.
What? I don't even need a safe space, like that does not exist. Just, you can't assume other people are like you. Like, as long as you're not bothering me, terrific. Have all the fun you want. But a lot of people don't have that confidence, so they need to find someone to pick on. And I'm like, well, if that's you, that's like, if you want to say shit, that's a reflection on you.
Right.
So,
Ursula,
that being said,
sorry, didn't mean to cut you.
So,
sorry.
Yeah. That's okay. That's all right.
Dealing with
okay.
I'm sorry.
Is she still there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here. No, I'll be honest. I apologize. Somebody pinged me, and I was looking at their message, thinking,
"Oh,
you lost your."
No, I said, how are you dealing with it? Like, when you're in that space.
With space, and I apologize because I did miss that. Like I said, the text message came through. And I looked over at it, and somebody was like,
I mean, like, decompressing, like when you feel like Joy said, she was like, she feels like she's up against the ropes. I'm not down and out, but just down for the count.
Oh.
Or like methods, I guess, of decompressing.
It's a drowning like. I feel like it's a drowning like feeling, and it makes me you getting out of it is such a hard thing to do. Yeah, it's just so you have to find different things. Believe it or not, before when I went through this, I started making wigs. Like I said, I never thought about making a wig. My niece, I think she was like
Nice.
16, 17 at the time, asked about a wig and said, "Oh, I would like to make one." So I just went out one day, got up that morning, and went to the beauty supply, bought some hair and stuff, and all the stuff that I thought I needed. Watched the video, and then sat down and did a wig on hand. And then before then, I
Nice.
decided, oh, I'll take this class on how to sew one. Didn't have a sewing machine, so I had to go borrow a sewing. And then, fortunately, my godmother gave me one. Dyed hair, would dye the hair and all of this, and got into it, and actually enjoyed it. So it's truly a matter of finding something to divert you from what you're going through when it happens.
Right.
Because if you don't, you find yourself sitting there festering in it. You're just going on, and that's when I feel that drowning feeling, like it's too much, and you want to break out.
Right.
The other thing is you find yourself getting.
Mhm.
I found myself getting getting mad at people for only would face me at all. Because I believe it or not, I truly have that attitude, and it's maybe good, maybe bad. If I don't like you and you don't fall within that realm of somebody that I like or love, if you don't pay for my bills or support my habits, then I really don't give a what you think. I truly don't give a fuck. And
Right.
it's so, but I found myself getting mad at people, and if it doesn't have any direct ability to define my destiny and what I want to do next, you can sit there, even if somebody I love, you can sit there and say whatever you want to say. And I'll say, okay, and walk on off and completely forget about it. But
Right.
I found myself getting mad at people, getting evil with people, just doing evil, just saying stuff that was ugly. And I don't like that. And I don't like myself being like that. So what I try to do is when I see it's happening, immediately take a diversion. Let's see what I'm going to go do today. Let me
Right.
go over here and I'll disappear for the day and go sit over at the lake, take a blanket, put it out, get some food, and sit there and read all day. And nobody will know I'm there, won't answer the phone or whatever. Then show up and they're like, I've been looking for you all day. Now, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you better than me.
And
I'd be like, well, I wasn't looking for you.
yeah, I'm sorry. And I don't say anything else. I don't have to give you any additional explanation. Oh, sorry that you couldn't find me. Let's go on. Now, whether I'm truly sorry or not, nah, but
Yeah,
if
right.
it makes you make it how you want it.
Okay.
So,
Exactly.
I do like that. So you found like some new talents. So we've got our instrument playing, we've got sewing, we've got designing, we've got wig construction. I,
yeah,
I think, these are all things that can help, I guess, in a way to keep you kind of like fulfilled, you know what I mean? Where you realize that there is more
yeah,
than just this, what's the traditional stream that people have for us, where they're like,
Right.
well, you should get into this, you should
Yeah.
get into that.
Yeah, you should
There's,
do yoga. You
yeah,
should, yeah,
right?
you should try whatever. And sometimes those things don't work for
Yeah.
everybody, you
Exactly.
know, or it's
Right.
just not what we're
Yeah.
willing to try right now. It's simple. I don't
Yeah.
want to do it. I don't give
Different
a fuck.
times,
I don't want to
right?
do it right now.
Exactly.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So
Sitting
then
around breathing.
do,
I mean, that's great. Don't get me wrong, and I think it helps. But I didn't
Yeah.
want to sit around going, I didn't want to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
I was too much. There was too much
Mhm.
inside to be able to sit still and do
Yeah.
that. It was too much.
Like my mom
I needed.
says, there's a
It had to
time for
be. I had to
everything.
do
yep.
something with that energy.
Yeah. Who's to
Mhm.
say that, in a few weeks you won't say, you know what, I want to try yoga, but that's just not what was
Like
meant for
right
you at that
now.
particular time. Right. Yeah. So you did what worked for you. And as long as it works, that's the only thing that matters. Because the only person that you need to make sure is in
Yeah,
that positive headspace is yourself.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
Okay.
that's
And
it.
so I'm trying to think as well, like how best, I think what I was trying to hope for was like how best we can, you know, maybe actualize or achieve our goals, like by sending it out into the universe. So do you feel like there's, as a support system, what is it that I can do or you think other people can do to help you stay motivated and to stay positive and to because who was I saying this to? I was saying this to the girl who I have subletting my place in Vancouver, where what ended up happening is the landlords found out that I'm no longer there. That's not the way we wanted to do it, but they found out. And the line of questioning that she told me was that I realized that they had assumed that I'm subletting because I'm making money off of her, right? For example, the place is 1,200. They thought that I was charging her 2,000, right?
Okay.
When in actuality, I'm charging her the 1,200 because what I said to her and what I said to the girl who gave her the place that I had given the place to. So the sublet is like being bequeathed to other people. That I sincerely.
Third, second generation.
Exactly. This is now a second generation sublet. I sincerely am in a space in my life where I only want people to do well. I have a preference for Black women doing well. But if there is a way that I can gift to anyone ease of living, happiness, or some type of actuality that makes you feel any way, shape, or form better, that's what I'm interested in. Because personally, for me, living in that apartment, I knew that they were crooks. The end. I was like, you're charging $1,200 for a place in downtown Vancouver that is so old that if you stand still, there's a symphony around you because the floors are creaking, the mold is growing, the downstairs neighbor has their second or third fly infestation, and you want to charge people 1,700 Canadian dollars if they make the mistake of leaving and letting you know, so that you can renovate and then charge 500 extra dollars just because it's downtown when there's human feces in the alley. So for me, I was like, I need to make sure that this apartment stays as cheap as possible and hopefully help the next person get out of whatever situation they're in that, allows them not to be able to afford, unfortunately, the rent that Vancouver is, right, in Canada.
Yeah.
So for me and her that I was talking to, she has said that has helped her. And I think they were shocked that I wasn't pocketing money off of her because I'm like, no, that's like a cosmic.
So you want to figure out how you can get that type of positivity, like kind of pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something, honestly, you're going to have to find through you. Mm-hmm. That's what you think. You've already paid it forward. What else do you want? Like you've done your due diligence.
Global domination. No, I'm kidding.
But the problem, the issue is you just have to find your space that suits you. The problem is for you, if it's a personal thing, you went backwards instead of going forwards. Mm. You knew what you were going into. You know the mindset didn't change. Mm-hmm. In all honesty, the mindset. Like I would not go. Like if I were going to go to, say, Jamaica, right? Mm-hmm. I am not going to a family member. Oh. I'm going to be in my own space again, surrounded by brand new people. I will visit my family members, but I will not go and I will not live with them because you're putting yourself into a shithole. You're doing the same thing and expecting different results. That's basically what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And you knew what you were going back into, and you didn't save yourself from it. You were trying to, you were leaving Vancouver to save somebody else. Mm-hmm. But you can't save somebody else when you're on empty. Mm-hmm.
You have to fill your bucket up.
You have to fill your bucket. You were leaving Vancouver on empty, and then you were going, there, and you were on empty. Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, okay, but how can I save you with your fucking cape on? But your cape was ripped and you really couldn't fly.
Somebody's stepping on that shit.
Right. In all honesty. So you had, if you were going there, you should have said, you know what? Maybe I'm a little broke right now, but I'm gonna have to find an apartment far from you. I will come, I will help you out, but then I have to leave. I can't be around these family members. I have to say, hey, how are you? Oh, okay, good seeing. All right, have a nice day. And you go to your apartment or you go to your house, wherever, that you are removed from that space, because that is where you are is not a safe space. Mentally, it's not a safe space for you. And that's the problem. Like when I sold the house, I was not in a safe space anymore. I was in self-harming space because I'm going back to this empty house consistently. There's nobody to talk to. And I realized that. And when I talk to people, I say, look, it served its purpose. Thank you, house, for teaching me how to be an adult. Thank you, house, for saving me from my divorce and teaching me that I can hire somebody else to cut my grass. I can hire somebody else to fix something in my house, and not calling my ex-husband an asshole, and getting him to keep coming back, keep coming back. I needed to grow the fuck up. Let's be honest. I had to grow up at some point in time. And the house, thank you, house, for teaching me how to do that. Now I have to move on. This is the next phase. So maybe I'm at phase 3. Who knows? I don't even know what phase I'm at. I'm at fuck it phase. That's where I am in my life. Fuck it.
You are now less F's to give.
Right.
It's like,
and
I don't have any for you.
Ursula went through what she was going through. Is everything like somewhat settled in a way, like mentally for you? Are you mentally in a better space?
I think that was a question for Ursula. Are you muted?
I'm mentally in a better space because I did start going to therapy for one of the things.
Hey.
Then the other thing is that, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay. I think my connection is slow, but yeah. So I'm mentally in a better space in the fact that I did start going to therapy. Was one of the things I did. I can't help everybody live their life and have their best life, and I can either tell you that if you come to me for advice, I can give you the advice or tell you what I think is going on and hope you take it and you go your route and you take it and use it the best way you can. But when you don't, I can't come in and try to play, for lack of a better term, I can't come in and play save a hoe all the time.
Right.
I have to stop that. I can't come in and save everybody. Regardless of how much I love you, I can't keep trying to save. I have to take that step back.
I had to learn that too.
The hardest thing to do is taking that step back from people. And, yeah, and that's it. So, and it's a hard thing, but I'm learning to be, yeah, this so bad. I've given you what I can. You can take that and make the best of it. If you don't, hey,
well,
I love you, but I've got to go on over here on this side. I see you later. And
okay, and I think
people think, oh, you're being mean. Well, yeah, well, that's what you need. That's fine.
These are boundaries.
So
right. That's the most important thing. Those boundaries. That I had to learn that. I just learned that recently. It took me a long time, but within the last year and a half, I finally learned boundaries.
Okay.
And not just setting them, but making sure that people adhere to them.
Okay. And I feel like Amanda and I have had conversations around boundaries as well.
Yeah,
Yes. I don't know. I just at this point, I feel like my biggest stumbling block is just opening up, because it's you know, like it's one of those things where, you know, it's you aren't the way you are because you want to be the way you are. There's practical reasons for it.
Mhm.
So it's like a lot of the time it's like, oh well, you know, like even posting online, I'm like, I feel like I have to restrict so much of what I say because I'm like, well, because this information can be used against me, you know? Like for example, like I was telling Dee earlier, because the way that medicine's being practiced in Ontario is changing because we have a different premier. I'm going to get all Canadian now. So basically, the medication that I'm on, it's working really well. It's like $15,000 a year. Like not
What?
a year, sorry. It comes up to $60,000 a year. Sorry, it's $15,000 per injection, and I get one a month, and that's currently covered by the drug plant, the drug maker, through a deal through the government. If I leave the country, I cannot get this medication anymore. That's the reality of it. You know? And the thing is, I have to come to grips with, I either have to become more regimented in my lifestyle, which is very isolating. Like, I feel like I can't even talk to people about, like, okay, well, you know, like, not eating bread is a big deal. Like, that is an obstacle for a lot of people to get over, as funny as that is. You know, like you're talking about boundaries. Like I have to make sure people aren't giving me flour and giving me things I didn't want to eat because they want to make sure that like I'm not faking it.
Right.
So like stuff like that, when people do things that like that to you, you're just like, what? Like, are you crazy? You
Right.
know?
That's great. That's ridiculous.
You know, and like, yeah, and it's like, you know, like being that out there, it's like, okay, well, you can't share that sort of thing because I'm so used to being like, well, if I share things, then that's going to affect my employment. It's going to affect XYZ. Like realistically, you know, I'm not saying this will happen, but it's a very likely thing. I'm like, I may have to get my colon removed if that's the case. Like I'll like major surgery, that's it, you know? So in a way, having to deal with that sort of stuff, it just made me like less attached to outcomes, which is good, but it's hard to open up because, you know, like you don't know people's intentions all the time. You don't like stress is a huge thing for me. And I'm like, I literally am not around people because I'm like, I don't want to be stressed out because you don't understand the effect of stress on me, you know? So like when they're coming and like they're just like having like I haven't seen my extended family in like years. And they're like, oh, what, you know, like because I had a like my uncle decided to like basically act the idiot. And I was like, why am I doing this? You know, like I have no like I'm literally the most laid back person because of this, because I understand, you know, like people will just stress themselves out about stupid things and they don't understand the effect of stress. If they understood how bad it was, they wouldn't worry about half the stuff they worry about.
Right.
You know? So I've just gotten in that mode and I'm trying to get out of it. So even posting online and whatnot, I just feel like, you know, just opening myself up like that, it's really difficult. Exactly. Like I don't discuss, and also having a like being in forensic nursing didn't help because like if people found out about like if you had a family, if you had this, if you had that, it really impacted the way you could A, give care, and B, these people are mentally unwell. You know? So I'm used to like I got to guard information and then on top of that, guarding on top of that. You know? Not to mention dealing with like sexism and racism and stuff like that. So I have a very rich internal world. I don't mind being like with my family or by myself, but it's that opening up that's difficult. You know, because I want to share things. It's just literally I'm like, you know, like A, what do I share so I don't get that? Because it's not even a mental thing, because I thought that I had really bad anxiety, but everything is like if I get stressed out, you know, I'll try to deal with it, but then my stomach will start to go into knots, and then like I'll start having the bowel distress, and then like I'll get fatigue. So it feels like I have anxiety, but it's not anxiety, it's just a physical response to the stress. And I'm like, well, what can I do about it? You know? So
I honestly think you have to stop giving so much of a fuck. Like you have to stop finding those fucks to give. I don't have those fucks to give. I you know, I worked in the lock unit a lot, you know, with my nursing, and they are They're the whole fucking picnic. I don't give a shit. If you're crazy, this bitch crazy too. We got crazy. I got crazy covered. Me and crazy, we sit side by side. You know, so it's just like,
I understand that.
And then
it's just the biggest thing. It's not necessarily the fucks because it's not that.
And before I interrupt
like, it's not like, oh, people are judging me, I feel like this. It's just literally, I don't know. It's like, it's not people's outside judgments. It's the effects of such, because it's nice to be like, oh, I don't care what people think.
Right.
When you're dependent on employment, is that really a thing? You know, like I was in situations because coworkers were mad because I could take shifts, and they would leave me with people who are dangerous. So that's a really, that's like, I didn't care about them, but I was feeling the effects, right?
You were being punished.
I understand I'm not in that situation now. Huh?
Right. No,
you were being punished.
I don't understand. I'm not. Oh, sorry. We're talking at the same time. I'm going to stop.
No,
there
sorry.
you go. Go ahead.
It's a lag. It's like a little lag. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I would just say the one thing that I have definitely learned that I think, Amanda, you're struggling with is that there's that saying that honesty is the best policy. And I have learned that that is a big lie. People do not want you to be honest with them, especially when you are standing in your own truth and letting people know what you need and what you will not put up with. Honesty is not the best policy. You really do have to discern who you can share parts of yourself with and who you can be open with, because they will use it against you. That is just.
And then everybody is so different. You know, I have to respect, but and then also American nursing and Canadian nursing are two totally different animals as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then, you know, because literally I can jump from job to job and be like, oh wait, you have an attitude? Fuck you. I'm out. Goodbye. Yeah. You know, and
yeah, I don't think our system is as easy as that. Yeah, I don't think the Canadian system is as easy as that.
Yeah, so it's very
no,
different.
actually it's hard to get full-time work as a nurse.
Can you imagine?
That's
one of the most essential jobs.
Really? I didn't know that.
But that's beside the point. I'm not even in that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, like we can work for agencies and we can say, you know what, I don't like the way that we're being treated here, and just, you know, say, okay, well, I'll end this shift and then be out and not come back the next day, and it's okay. So I don't, even before that, I never understood. I have no solidarity to any employer, even before I was a nurse. I'm just like, I don't need your shit. Goodbye. And that's just my mindset. That's that, you know, so, and everybody doesn't have that mindset. So I need to respect that. But also you are given what you will take as well. And people know that. And my example is those people that have been working for a company and they're like right at that month that they're about to retire, and then the person, the company will fire them and not think twice about it. And those are the people that need their jobs. But then the person like me that comes in is like, fuck you, fuck your mother, fuck your uncle. Oh, wait, fuck your kid too. They want to keep me on. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I am. Now, I have that mindset because I'm like, I know my job. I know why I'm here. So I know that if you're putting me in a position where I have to question myself or I feel any type of anxiety, the reason is because you feel some type of way about yourself. You are threatened by me. I threaten you. So therefore, we don't need to fill the same space. It just doesn't make any sense because I already know what you're after. You're after my license. You're after my livelihood. So I need to remove myself from the situation. You know, but somebody like me, they want to keep on. Who's not going to take their shit? The people that are mild-mannered and are like, you know, I just want to go with the flow. I just need to, you know, I have to pay my bills. I have responsibilities. Me, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be here. I'm only here 3 days a week. Don't ask me for a fourth day. I don't have time for all that. You know, I'm like, oh, D, can you just come on? Can I put you on the schedule? Bitch, you deaf? I said no.
Yeah.
And honestly, in a lot of realms, a lot of industry, those are the people that they want around them. I wasn't built to be a yes man. I'm always like fighting against the grain. Like, oh, I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be. I don't think that you should be okay with talking down to somebody. I don't think that you should think that I would be okay with you being disrespectful to me. I'm just going to stick around because that means that you're going to bully me in your way, shape, or form. And I just can't have that because what you'll do to me, you will do to my children. You'll do to my friends' kids. And somebody has to let you know that that shit will not fly. Somebody has to let you know that everybody that looks like me is not going to take your shit.
That's fair enough. I just literally got tired of fighting all the time because it wasn't that I was taking abuse. It's literally, like fighting all the time, doing this. I'm like, sometimes I'm just tired, like
Yeah,
I don't
be.
It's not, like, that's the thing. It's one of those things where, it's.
You
it's
shouldn't
not that
have to.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, well, I just don't want to have to deal with the physical effects because, I mean, like, you can say, oh, I don't care. Oh, I don't care. But it's like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I have other things to deal with, and I don't want to add to that. That's basically it. And I'm trying to figure out a way where I'm like, okay, well, I just want to make it so it's like as easy as possible, as whatever. I don't have to analyze it. I don't have to feel like, because like that's the other thing too. It's it's kind of baked in. Like it's like oversharing is a thing. Like that's not a thing that I do. I try not to do it. I try because it's like it's one of those things where I'm not uncomfortable with myself. I just literally physically cannot deal with the blowback. Like I'm not a mentally weak person. I don't have self-esteem issues. It's not that. It's literally I have limited amount of time, limited amount of energy, and quite frankly, I don't want to be bedridden for weeks. And just having those experiences, it just makes you like risk adverse in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not guaranteed it will happen, but it's like, okay, well, like, oh my goodness. And that causes stress in a way, which is weird. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. But we are at an hour and
look at us.
So
yeah,
we were
all set for this,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna send you guys a copy of it, and we can go from there.
Yep.
Hold on, let me
We
just
can edit things out.